we start off deep in history in July 2019, which is about 18 months after I started working on Parcel. And I guess HTEX existed, but was probably quite new around there. Probably maybe 6 months to a year old. And we get this bug report, which is this user getting this stack trace, and eventually Yardi messes round, couldn't reproduce it, thinks about it a bit, makes a fix which fixes it. And then now, which is 6 years later, I'm looking at that code again because I want to make it generally more resilient. And I was looking at what's actually going on with the fix that Yardi did 6 years ago. So I made a reply on the fix, a review reply 6 years after the PR was made.
Sniper from the past.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just look at this stack trace. And the great thing about being 6 years in the future compared to when this report was filed was we've got 6 years worth of experience of what might this mean. And if we have a look, you can see it's an exception that's causing, there's a lot of additional info here that is a red herring, and I'm going to ignore it. And I'm really only going to focus in on the evidence. So you've got, this is running in the user's code. And you can see in the user's code, they're doing something that is causing the command channel client to run a command. And in the bowels of that, we go into ZMQ and we get this exception. Operation can't be accomplished in the current state.
Is that a property access? Why would it do it on the has attra? It's not a Boolean. It's something else. I'm just processing. That's a has attra. Why is that doing more work than a Boolean? That must be a property.
What? This?
Yes.
This is probably so that they can work with executors that aren't HTEX, that don't have the connected workers method.
But I'm betting connected workers is not a method, it's a property. That's why that actually dug in further.
Yeah, but
this is from QC Fractal.
You need to.
Oh, shoot.
I think I sidetracked you. I'm sorry, Ben. Go ahead.
Yeah. Fine. I mean, ignore this line. This is true, which is why the rest of it runs, right? And it's effectively a test that says, is this an HTEX executor or is it something else? Like the thread pool would be the other one around this time, or maybe still IPy parallel was another one around that time.
Okay.
Okay, so what does this mean? At the time, 6 years ago, what this looks like to all of us is, well, this is just some weird in the bowels of the C library error message that none of us understand. Right? What this means to me now is this is a request and reply socket. And it has a state. It's either waiting for me to put a request in, or it's waiting for the interchange to send a reply back. Right?
Yep.
That's what a rec socket looks like. Okay. So it has two states. Either it's ready for a request, or it can't take a request because it's already doing a request.
Why?
Okay. So what does that mean? What does this line mean? It means you can't send a request because I'm not in the state that I can take a request, which means I am waiting for a reply. Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you believe that? Yardi, do you believe that?
Not really. Is the interchange dead? Oh, shoot.
No, he can hear you.
Oh.
I can hear you.
Oh. I thought that ZMQ allows you to do multiple requests for potentially?
No.
It will just block?
No.
It'll let you multiplex, but if
No, it won't. It's telling you you're using this socket, you've sent a request in, now you're trying to send another request in and you haven't let the reply come back yet.
Yeah, but from the same session. Another client can connect with a request.
Right.
Won't block.
Okay. So
it's one client. Yeah.
Right. So Python, no, not Python, the other thing. Parcel is massively multi-threaded, right? what thread is sending this?
User application is multi-threading.
No, parcel is multi-threaded. Right? This is the user application in the main thread.
Mhm.
Does anybody else in parcel, any other thread other than the main thread, ever use the command client?
The job status puller?
Yep. And in
Yeah.
fact, that's actually the only, aside from a startup, that's the only use of it in pure parcel, which is why this wasn't happening the whole time. Okay. So I think what's happening here is because this user is essentially
Manually-
doing thread unsafe use of the command client, and ZMQ is telling you that in its own special way that we didn't understand at the time. That's a threading error. Okay, that's a concurrency error, and it's telling you you can't do this. Right. Now, if you go look in the ZMQ source code, that's what this means. It means the request socket is in a waiting for reply state. Okay. So if you got that understanding, let's have a think about how we might make a reproducer for this, right? If we didn't have that understanding 6 years ago, and it was very hard to make a reproducer, and I don't know if Yadu ever did it, or just hypothesized about. Can you see my terminal now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do this. Oh, sorry. Let's do this. We're going to make a test case called the concurrency blast. We're going to make 3,000 threads, and we're going to run them, and we're going to wait for them to exit normally. Okay. And each of those 3,000 threads is going to make lots of command client requests over and over for 30 seconds. And we can have
Is 3,000 a special number?
what?
Is 3,000 a special number, or is it
No, I'm just like, well, you could run 140,000 threads, I think, maximum on my laptop, but I felt like that was probably a lot. We
Cool.
will try a different number later. Okay. So if we go there and we run it, it should take 30 seconds. There it goes. Starting up. There's my thread start. 3,000 of them. Hopefully this works. And in 30 seconds, this should succeed with 3,000 threads all trying to run command client commands at once. Because Yadi put that fix in to fix it. Fingers crossed, I should have started a timer so I know how long 30 seconds is.
We've got the timer on the YouTube or on the Zoom recording.
Have we? I don't.
That's all right. Not your screen is sharing. And I have not looked. What was the fix?
I'm going to show you the fix next. Because
Okay.
that's what I want to pick up. There we go. Test passed. Okay. Oh, it took 56 seconds. That's a little bit longer than I was expecting, but maybe that's some startup time. Okay, but it passed.
Distributed file system, eh?
There's something funny with my home network since I came home, and I haven't got around to looking at it. Okay, so I'm not surprised. There's something funny with my DNS basically. So I'm getting
joking. I'm sorry to sidetrack you. You're back on task.
Yeah. So I'm not super concerned about that in this environment. So the fix Yadu did was this. Here it comes. Files change.
Oh. Ignore the problem and try again. Cool.
Right.
Ignore the problem and
Well,
try.
that's what it looks like. That's what you thought, right? If you read the title of this, the retry mechanism is when it fails, do a retry.
Yeah.
If you look at most of the lines on this screen in green, they are when it fails, destroy the context, make a new one, let the interchange connect back to you again and try again. Okay.
Yeah.
However,
That's probably the actual fix.
Okay. So now we can never enter this block if there's an outstanding request. Okay. Because someone else is going to be holding the lock. Okay. So then I'm like, oh, because I wanted to test this and understand it a bit better. And I was not very comfortable with this retry behavior about what actually happens. So sort of my gut feeling was, are we going to get dueling retries? If there's two threads doing this, are they just going to fight over trying to do the retry? So what have we got next on the patch stack? So the next change is we get rid of the lock and just say, this is basically comments out without me having to remove the with. Okay, so we don't bother with the lock and we're going to run the same test. Okay, so what this is saying, let's assume the retry code does work and we don't need the lock.
Yep,
okay?
I'm with.
And we're going to test that. And it's going to start up. Boom.
Which we expect to see the exceptions doing their work.
Okay, so once it's started all 3,000 threads, then you'll be able to it's still going. I don't know if you can. There we go. Okay, what do we got? There's the deadlock port. But then we start getting other errors, like this thread died because we did a socket operation on a non-socket, which I think actually means the socket was closed because one bit of the code started trying to use this shared state when another thread was trying to, someone was trying to send a message when someone was trying to reestablish the context and all of that.
Yeah.
Earlier, I've seen various different behaviors on this to do with hanging or to do with exiting. I got some seg faults. It's sort of the kind of behavior I would expect for bad thread usage. So I'm just going to Control C out of this multiple times. And let's see what we got left behind. Nothing. Okay. So next on the patch stack is, instead of running 3,000 threads, let's just run 2 threads and see if we get a see if 3,000 was ridiculous, right? And maybe 2 threads is enough to, maybe it will recover. We get a lot less errors. We've got our 2 threads running there. It's sort of scrolling through. I mean, it is trying. You can see it every now and then retrying and getting deadlocks and trying again. And maybe it's going to make it through. Maybe we will reach the end of the 30 seconds. Let's see what happens this time, because it's behaved differently each time for me. All right, we're probably going to get 30 seconds without it working, which is fine, right? It's still something went wrong. Okay. So the thing I propose is we can have the lock and we can get rid of all this retry stuff. Okay. And try 3,000 again. So now we have the lock that Yadu introduced, but not the retry logic that Yadu introduced. There's 3,000 threads starting.
What do you know? Serial works.
Well, we haven't got any errors yet, but let's see what happens. They've all got to sit for 30 seconds. I'll be sad if this actually doesn't work, because this is meant to work.
Logically, I expect it to, unless something else happens external to this.
Yeah. Please end. Must be about to happen soonish. There. Okay.
Takes you a full
Okay.
minute.
Yeah, well, the last one took a full minute as well.
Yeah.
Earlier it was taking 30 seconds, so I'm not really sure what's happening on my laptop. We can try it as it is now, and if we go all the way back to as it is in, oops. Sorry. We can try it out as it is in trunk, as it is in master. Right. Anyway, so so what I am proposing is that all of that retried logic isn't right and should be removed. And we should just have that lock.
And that shut down, remove the entire context, not just the socket. Is that right?
Yeah, but it's all in shared state, right? So there's other threads trying to do stuff with it at the same time.
Yeah, I get it.
Right.
Just
Like
cross.
I
with
think
the
it
code.
comes from an opinion 6 years ago that error meant that ZMQ was irretrievably broken, except we could retrieve it by making a new context. That took 54 seconds as well. So fine. Yeah. Sorry. Right. Oh, sorry, one more. This one. Right. So we just do a lock, make the call, return the result. No
Find
error.
some
Right.
way to remove the other thread entirely, like the job status polar, which I would like to do at some point. I think we can.
No, the job status polar is the one that this command channel exists for. It's anybody else using it that is not allowed to do it.
I still think at this point, though, without more information, that we can get rid of the job status polar entirely.
Yeah. Right. Like I would like to make that a helper library that the HTEX uses rather than the DFK starting it. But that behavior is going to be there where you're talking to the batch system, right? As long as we talk to batch systems, there's going to be a moral equivalent of something to manage the batch jobs.
Yeah.
Right.
But I would like to plus that. I think we can at some point with the executor. I think the executor has all the information it needs to.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Right now, we haven't started from that because we had parts of those.
But then that doesn't change anything. There's going to be a thread in the executor doing this. Right. And that means naughty users, including Globus Compute, who go and use the command client.
May I add something to that, Ben? I think there is a small piece that is sort of missing from this conversation, which is, I think if we think about the idea that an executor is pretty much fully self-contained, like it receives tasks, it receives results, it receives information about like when workers start, when resources are provisioned. You could sort of think of maybe not relying on like constant polling, because whenever there is a real state change,
right, like totally
indirect way, might be delayed, but you will get it in an indirect way. The issue, however, is with compute, there is a slightly different requirement, which is that you do not want executor to be doing the scaling after it is given tasks. You want the executor to sort of be able to be tweaked to scale and like scale back from an external entity.
Yeah, fine. You can do whatever scaling you want, right? But that, I mean, like as far as this talk goes, that is
Sure.
another
Yeah.
Kevin red herring, right? That's
I'm just trying to add a little bit of extra context into
right.
some other conversations that are going on.
Yeah. I mean, this is Kevin distracting things again, right?
I'm gonna mute myself.
Well, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
But you know, there is no design in the current HTEX command client about which thread owns the right to talk to this, which is why we have this lock. And then with this lock, it seems fine. I think it's still slightly unsafe because of my understanding of how ZMQ moves stuff between CPUs, but I don't think it's worse than having the retry logic, which very clearly explodes in very strange ways, as we've just seen, and also has no theory behind it. So I would like, basically the patch that's on screen is what I would like to do.
I'm convinced. Works for me.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
cool. And then it's just a little bit less, like every time I look at this, it's been like, I don't understand what this retry code is doing enough to be able to rewrite it into a different form or move it somewhere else or do something else. But now I've decided it never runs.
I do appreciate research like this because I too have a number of things. I don't understand this yet. I don't understand why it's there, so I'm going to work around what's there and probably add more craft. But I thank you for removing this.
Yeah, I mean, a bunch of that comes from like prototype era.
Yeah, that is exactly what it is.
Which is like, we're just trying to make it work. We're just trying to show that this is actually a thing that people might want to use and can be used. So there's a bunch of code that if you don't understand it, it's fine. It could well just be random noise from just trying to make stuff work, especially around ZMQ. Yeah, and then the final thing is if we get rid of recreate, then we don't need these recreates in the curve ZMQ library. So we can get rid of those as well. Just another little bit less code.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Thank you for explaining that. That'll make review easy.
Yeah. Well, this is the review that I wanted to have before I made a PR. Just to explain it a bit more.